As we look ahead to the 2025 NFL Draft at the end of this month, will the Niners trade up to get an elite player? San Francisco currently has the 11th overall pick, and they have some options at their disposal. The NFL draft order in front of the Niners looks as such. The Tennessee Titans at number 1, the Cleveland Browns at number 2, the New York Giants at number 3, New England Patriots with the 4th overall pick, Jacksonville Jaguars on the clock at number 5, Las Vegas Raiders, Pete Carroll era underway, the 6th overall selection, New York Jets at number 7, Carolina Panthers at number 8, the New Orleans Saints at number 9, and the Chicago Bears at number 10. Of course, the rest of the draft is going to be predicated by how many quarterbacks go inside this top 10. I think Cam Ward goes number 1 to Tennessee. I think Shedeur Sanders goes at some point in this top 10. If he doesn't, I'd be surprised. Could we see a surprise like Jackson Dart going inside the top 10? So if a couple of quarterbacks go off the board, really good players could fall. And you think about the Niners' biggest needs going into the draft. Defensive line at the forefront, right? The Niners need multiple edge rushers and defensive tackles. Leonard Floyd, goodbye. Malik Collins, so long. Javon Hargrave got let go. The Niners need multiple starters along that defensive line. As I've continued to say over the last couple of years, they need to fortify the trenches on the offensive side of the football as well. Right tackle, left guard, and center can all stand to be upgraded. At cornerback, slot or outside, you have Deommodore Lenoir and Renardo Green. Renardo Green was really good as a rookie. Plays excellent on the outside. Deommodore Lenoir, one of the most underrated players in the National Football League. He can play outside or in the slot. Now, at number 11, or if you do trade up, I don't think you want to take a slot corner. I think you want an outside guy. Then you can use Lenoir in the slot, inside, and he's one of the more elite inside cornerbacks in the NFL. Additional needs, running back, because Christian McCaffrey, Isaac Guerrero have injury concerns, and wide receiver because you don't know how Brandon Ayuk is going to come off that shredded knee. And we can all understand why the Niners have done what they've done this offseason. In hindsight, after losing the Super Bowl in heartbreaking fashion to the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl 58, Niners probably should have reset a year earlier as compared to a year too late. They were bad last year. They were injured. They were very expensive. But it's also understandable why they wanted to run it back. They were so close to winning that Super Bowl. They took the Chiefs to overtime. They shot themselves in the foot countless times. They were the better team. But with what they've done this offseason, and by letting so many players go, the Niners have no other choice. They need to nail the 2025 NFL Draft. And they're going to have an opportunity to do that. They have a lot of premium draft picks in their hands, in their grasp, at their disposal. First round, number 11. Second round, number 43. 2 third-rounders at 75 and 100. So you have 4 top 100 picks. And the Niners not only need to hit on these picks, these players need to be impact guys. We're talking starters and immediate contributors. That 4th-round pick at 113, it's valuable. 138, love it. You have a couple of 5th-rounders at 147 and 160, and then 3 7th-rounders at 227, 249, and 252. And so when you have all those picks, it allows the Niners to fill their needs and fill their voids. But having all those picks as well gives San Francisco flexibility and optionality to trade up if they want. And so should the Niners do that? The 33rd team acknowledged the Niners' needs. They acknowledged how San Francisco has these draft picks, right? And they made the argument, use those extra picks to move up and get an elite player. And what the 33rd team did in their mock draft, they had the Niners move up to number 6 in a trade with the Raiders to take Michigan defensive tackle Mason Graham. Here was the 33rd team's reasoning behind that. San Francisco has more needs than what we're used to seeing with this regime, but it still has more picks, 11, than what they can use. Moving some of that capital to land one of the few elite players at a position of critical need is worthwhile. Mason Graham is incredibly disruptive and might be the safest prospect in this class. Some decent points there, some points I disagree with. It would come with some risk. Mason Graham did not do any drills outside of the bench press at the NFL Combine. There were also some red flags there because Michigan listed him around 325 pounds. He weighed in at 296 pounds. He had 24 reps at 225 on the bench. Not bad, not great, but he's 6'3", 296 pounds. He's not the greatest athlete in the world, but I do think he's a really good player who can end up being a really good player at the next level. Can he be elite? I do think he might need some help around him in the early going, but he was so steady at Michigan, which is why I think the 33rd team said he's one of the safest picks. I also like how he's good as a pass rusher and as a run stopper. Really good leverage. I love the nastiness to his game. He has a wrestling background. I always love that for my offensive linemen and defensive linemen in the pre-draft. Overall PFF grade last year of 91.1, a pass rush grade of 81.1, even better with the run defense grade of 92.6. He had a pass rush win rate of 13.8%, a true pass set grade of 87, and he had 20 hurries. Outside of that, the numbers very, very good, and he's been very consistent the last couple of years. 45 tackles in 2024, 7 TFLs, 3.5 sacks with 34 pressures. So he does have that short area quickness to get after the quarterback. I like his technique. I really like his leverage. The pressure numbers have been very good the last 2 years. 34 pressures in 2024, as I noted, 29 pressures in 2023. The sack number's pretty good from that defensive tackle spot, and his career numbers in 39 games, he has 76 pressures and 9 sacks to his name. The weigh-in, not overly concerning to me, although it is pretty hilarious. Michigan will list him at 325. He weighs him at 296. I have cooled on Graham a little bit in the pre-draft. I had him as my number 2 overall player back a couple of months ago behind Abdul Carter. He slid down. He's still a top 10 guy, in my opinion. I still think that he can be really good. But when you move up to take a player, you were hoping that he can be Pro Bowl level, elite level. Can he take over games? I think there are questions there. Or was he helped out by another really good defensive tackle who he was flanked by in Kenneth Grant, who I would like as a later round pick in the first round for San Francisco, maybe a second round guy, and Josiah Stewart, who's a really good defensive end and pass rusher for Michigan as well. If the Niners do go defensive tackle, I don't think they need to trade up for a player like Walter Nolan out of Ole Miss, who I think is better, who is going to take a pre-draft top 30 visit to the Niners, as we learned on Monday. In fact, I think that you could trade back for a player like Walter Nolan, who's good as a pass rusher, who's good in stopping the run, whose motor I really like, whose athleticism I think is a little bit better than a player like Mason Graham. I don't think you need to trade up for a player like Derek Harmon. I actually think the defensive tackle out of Oregon, who had in the neighborhood of 60 pressures last year, one year of production, which is a concern, but he ran a sub 540 at 300 plus pounds. I love it. I think that you could trade back to get a player like Derek Harmon, and if we're talking value, if you trade back and get another pick, and you can get Nolan or Harmon, who arguably could be better than Graham, you gain draft capital, you have value on your side, and you might get the better player without having to trade up. If we're talking about trading up, the players who I would trade up for, if they fall, Abdul Carter out of Penn State. I think he's a blue chipper. Travis Hunter could be the football version of Shohei Ohtani if he plays both ways. Armand Membu, my favorite tackle in this class. Jalen Walker, he can rush the quarterback as an edge rusher. He can be an off-ball coverage linebacker. And Tyler Warren out of Penn State. Those right there are more blue chip players that I'd trade up for as compared to trading up for a player like Mason Graham. With Abdul Carter, great production this past year with Penn State. Shoulder issue and foot issue, those are concerns for me. But in his first full season as an edge rusher for Penn State, he was phenomenal in 2024. He has size. He has length. He has speed. He has bend. He has twitch. He has sack production. He, I know, can take over games. Now, he could go number 1, number 2, number 3. But if he falls to 4, 5, or 6, I'm willing to trade up for a player like that. Him opposite of Nick Bosa. Are you kidding me? They can take over and wreck games. For a player like Travis Hunter, if he falls a little bit, and I think that he might go 2 to the Browns, number 3 to the Giants, but if he falls outside of that, I'd trade up for him. Really good coverage cornerback and a really good weapon at that wide receiver spot. Ball skills, quick twitch, really good athlete, overwhelming production. He did it against good competition when he had to. And that's just a unique generational prospect who I would trade up for because you have a need at wide receiver. You have a need at that cornerback spot. Armand Membu, I think he is a really safe pick. At well over 300 pounds, right tackle, ran a sub 540 yard dash, 4.9. And in the SEC, against some of the top pass rushers and edge rushers in the game, he was so dominant, so elite, and so steady. And I think if you put him at right tackle, you improve your offensive line to a great degree. And I think his play translates to the next level. A player like Jalen Walker, I love the versatility to his game. I love how he did it at Georgia. I love the body type, the leadership, his ability to be a team captain. He comes from a football background. His pops was a high school coach. Everybody at Georgia loved him. But we're talking about a player who on third down you can use as an edge rusher opposite of Nick Bosa. You need that. You don't have a lot of depth at defensive end. You don't have a lot of talent there. And then on first and second down, and on other downs, third down too, he can drop back and be a coverage linebacker with instincts and feel alongside Fred Warner. What better linebacker to learn from than Fred Warner? What better edge rusher to learn from than Nick Bosa? And then Tyler Warren. This would be more of a luxury pick, but if the Niners plan on not giving George Kittle a contract extension, you plug in Tyler Warren, I think that he could be a right-hand man to Brock Purdy if you sign him to a long-term deal. You can use him in a variety of ways. I think that he will be a great weapon at the next level. He's big. He can pick up yak. He can break tackles. He's a good red zone target. You can use him inline, outside, as an H-back, fullback. He's a really good blocker. That's a George Kittle type of clone right there who I would trade up for. Again, it's a luxury pick, and it depends on what the Niners want to do with George Kittle, but those are the blue chipper types of players that I would trade up for. I'm not sure if Mason Graham is that blue chipper. Now, I posed this question on the community tab here on YouTube. What should the Niners do with their pick in the first round? As you can see, nearly 4,000 votes. A lot of people, 66%, said stick and pick. 13% said trade up. 21% said trade down. So a lot of the faithful doesn't believe there's a lot of value to trading up. Be sure to hit that subscribe button here on the show. As always, thank you so much for supporting the program. We always hit you with some great Niners content right here on YouTube. And in addition to the Niners content that I give you here on YouTube, I cover the Niners on my social media pages. Give me a follow at Chase_Senior on X and Instagram.